What's up, everybody? Rattlehead 5022 here, the Stuttering Reviewer, and I'm moving along through the discography of Megadeth because we're about to get into some interesting records. And this one, The World Needs a Hero. I'm a fan of this album. Let's begin. And when it was released May 15th, 2001. The first track I heard off of it was "Return the Hanger." It was on like, we used to have a metal station here. It was a rock station. I won't say the name, but at the end, and on Saturday nights at 12 o'clock, we used to have kind of like a Headbangers Ball thing, but for the radio. And they played all the good heavy stuff. Had interviews with people. It was really cool, man. It's not there anymore, but they played "Return the Hanger," and I didn't even realize it was Megadeth until like halfway in, because music I couldn't tell, and the way he sung was different too. And I thought, when he said "possibly," I was like, oh my goodness, is that a Hanger 18 too? And then when it was like the "Return the Hanger," I was like, cool, man. I was excited for this album. I'm not one of the bandwagon jumpers. This has been going on since the beginning of Megadeth. And the reason why is the man leaves Metallica and gets, the animosity between them two bands, number one. Number two, there was always comparison. There was always comparing the two bands, everybody. Number three, usually when one person says something bad, you're seeing it on Super Collider. Every time somebody says bad, you have a whole lot of people say the same thing over and over. And they did it with Super Collider. Every video was the same thing, different person saying it. Uninspired, this, that, and the other. I told you I was going to give it good reviews every review. Super Collider's a killer album. Moving along. This is another one of those albums that was overlooked by the bad publicity. And let me just show you the numbers. People were so excited for Megadeth to get heavy again that the first week alone it sold damn near double what Super Collider did. Actually more. Super Collider sold 29,000 copies this first week. This fucker here sold 61,000 records its first week and only debuted number 16 on the charts. And you're saying, how's it possible? It's just the way the records that came out during this month were really weak. Universal's smart, man. It's a big company. They know what they're doing. So the second week, here's the numbers for the second week after the reviews of it. After people get on, not on here because this wasn't even really around, but people started talking shit about it. And you had 25,000 the second week, falling to number 59 on the charts. That to me tells me that you had so much bad press that folks were like, hold up, we're not even going to do it. And I think what ruined it the most was the amount of songs. They released Moto Psycho as a video. That was the most commercial song on the album. That's where they went wrong, I do believe. The production value wasn't that great. Again, they was on Sanctuary Records. They switched. They got off Capitol, went to Sanctuary Records on this album. It's 57 minutes and 49 seconds long, which is a long album for Megadeth. Producer was Bill Kennedy and Dave Mustaine. This was an independent label. Pretty much all the bands at the time were were purchasing the label and running it, because the big four back then, man, wasn't. Even Metallica, man, they always got their own record label. But like Slayer, Anthrax, and stuff, they were like switching off to so they could keep making records and not have to pay these massive record companies all this money. And that created Sanctuary Records. I'm not even sure if it's still around anymore, but it was a band-oriented thing. Moving along, this was the last album with Jimmy DeGrasso, and only the only one to feature Al Pitrelli. And he was a really good guitarist, but he was too much classical too much classical, and I think more jazz. And he was a way good guitarist. I'm not talking about his talent. It wasn't a correct fit, and Dave knew it, and he gets pissed when an album doesn't do as well as he thinks it's going to do, and pretty much fires the lineup. I hope he don't do it with this one, but it had nothing to do with the producer. I mean, the production value was a little weak, but again, I think it was the song picks. I think Disconnect is one of the strongest songs on the album. Return to Hangar. Let's get into the artwork. It was the first time that Vic Rattle had appeared on the cover since Rust in Peace. And again, the artwork was really weak. Vic was on there, but he's popping out of a human body. He looked real little. Almost alienish and cheesy cover, man. But that don't take away from the songs on here. There is some really good songs on here, man, that I still like to jam to. Let's get down to the tracks. Song 1, Disconnect. Badass. Again, this is another Reckoning Day song. This song is good. It sounds totally different from the rest of the album. This album had a lot of Euthanasia sound to it because of the downtuning, the kind of same downtuning they went to. And I'm not sure. I think they wanted to go back to them roots instead of the countdown route. I'm not really sure what the motives were there, but I don't like this sound. I don't. Everybody says that the new album's in that tuning. I don't hear it, man. It was produced really well. If it is, I don't hear it in this album. I don't. Unless these were really poor recording efforts and this one was just a really good one in this tuning. I don't hear it in the new album. Maybe one song. Moving along, The World Needs a Hero. Now, that was thrash. That song was straight thrash. There wasn't a hard rock about it, man. This whole album was straight thrash metal. It was I think they tried to do too much of Euthanasia with so much thrash that it just, it connected wrong with the audience. And they were so used to the last two albums, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. So when these folks bash these heavy records of Megadeth, and then they come out and they're going to come out and say, okay, well, they want to hear radio now, and then they make bullshit. So gotta watch what you say, man, because now I think Dave's stopped listening to folks and just doing his own thing. That's why his lyrics are damn near, it went downhill a little bit. The musicianship has not. Moving along, Motorcycle. It is. I didn't care for it. I thought it was a weak song. I thought it was a more pop, radio-friendly song. Is why they released it. They could have just said, I know he wanted to push the "We're Heavy, We're Back." This song didn't say that, man. This song said, "Well, we're going to do just a little bit heavier than cryptic writings and leave you hanging." And I don't think a lot of folks gave this record time to sink in before the reviews come out and it stopped selling. 1,000 Times Goodbye. I think it's cool. Again, it's about relationships. The lyrics are really cool, man. Burning Bridges is really cool. This had the only song on here, we're coming up to it, that I absolutely hated. For a slow song, it was terrible. The worst one probably ever by Megadeth, in my opinion. I've still to this day never heard it all the way through. It's that bad to me. It's like, shut that shit off. And that's one of the very few Megadeth songs that I can actually say that was one of those, shut it off. I can't hear it. Can't stand it. The next song, though, Recipe for Hate, Warhorse. This song brought me back to Holy War's The Punishment Due, but backwards. It was really cool, man. It was different. The lyrics at the beginning, with the room temperature IQ, talking about he can't do anything right. Basically saying he was foreseeing pretty much what everybody was saying about this album and Recipe for Hate. And then you have the song Wars, which is just, wow, blows your head off. And another overlooked song, man. Never played live, never heard on the radio, it's fucking good. Losing My Senses is pretty groovy. Then we get to Dread and the Fugitive Mind. That song, I know, was on Capitol Records with Kill the King, and that's why it sounds so primo. But it was put on this album, and it was a really, really good song. Period. Really fucking good song. I don't know what you can say better. It had everything. It sounded something like off Countdown. It was good. Silent Scorn, which we all know has the trumpet player, which is in the new album Super Collider. I did forget his name and overlooked it, but it kind of sounds the same in the new one than he does on this one. Weird trumpet sound, kind of eerie, dark. Then we get to Return to Hangar, man, and you know, it was the weaker of the two, obviously, but it didn't have the, you know, it didn't have the solos and the riffs, but it didn't have Marty Friedman either, guys. Remember that, okay? It was still a good song. It was still played live for many years. And then we have Win. And a lot of people don't know, man, is reminiscent of the same riff of Am I Evil. So, I mean, AllMusic gave this album a 2.5. Rolling Stones gave it a 2. Sputnik Music gave it a 3 out of 5. One of the lowest grading Megadeth albums, man. Even almost as bad as Risk as far as grades. I don't see it, man. I see a lot of good songs here. Only one really terrible one, and a couple that could have used a few more production tweaks. But other than that, man, I think it's a really good record. I think it was a really good effort. It was an overlooked record for sure. For sure. And again, anytime people say bad shit about Megadeth, man, people jump on the bandwagon and say the exact same thing. And then you have this thing going around because they're always compared to Metallica that, okay, well, everybody's saying it's shit, it must be shit, and let's not buy it. And that's what happens. It really does. You can say it, don't all you want, but that's what happens in America. Anyway, I'm not sure about overseas. But anyways, guys, I'm going to give this album a 7.8 above Euthanasia. I think it has more better songs, I think it has a whole lot better songs than Euthanasia. It, you know, because you got to figure, guys. Okay, Euthanasia was a good album, and I'm still not bashing it, but I'm saying it was made at Capitol Records, this huge company. This record was made at a little small independent label, and it kicked ass. It thrashed us out. It was the first time we heard thrash from Megadeth since Rust in Peace. So. And it got slammed, you know. I don't know, man. You know, it had a lot of composition. It had a lot of diversity as far as riffs and solos. Al Petrilli did the best he could for a thrash record. Dave Mustaine did a lot. You know, the world needs a hero is one of them borderline songs. Other than that, and Motorcycle is pretty poor because it's radio friendly. It's like friendly radio thrash. It's not like, I don't know. And the lyrics don't even make sense. The video didn't, dancing cheerleaders and shit. We're talking about a band called Megadeth, not a band called, the Texas Cheerleaders or, shit like that. So I didn't agree with that song pick. It's still an upbeat song, It's not a horrible song. I'm just saying it was a poor song pick to promote this album. Is all I'm trying to say. So. For that, guys, I want your thoughts, opinions. Tomorrow, we're moving on to one of. I'm gonna do a break from the album, actual counted albums. I'm gonna do a record that they had a bunch of good hidden gems on, which is called Hidden Treasures, and that's coming up next, guys. Rattlehead50222, the Stuttering Reviewer, out of here. Follow me on Twitter at Rattlehead50222. I follow everybody back. You can find me on Facebook at Metal Videos 365. Like it, post anything you want. I don't care if it's a garage band, but keep it metal. And for that, guys, Rattlehead50222, the Stuttering Reviewer, out of here. Subscribe. If not, thanks for watching. Have a thrashing fucking evening.